Male-female relationships. What is going on in the African American community? Well, we're going to talk about it when we get back. I'm CLM II for Style with Power, the channel that helps empower men through style. Well, happy Monday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Style with Power. And today, I'm going to talk about male-female relationships. I found an individual online who some of you may know, and if you don't know her, I advise you to go and find her on YouTube. Her name is Rebecca Lynn Hope. And Rebecca Lynn Hope is or was a matchmaker in the Atlanta, Georgia area for many years. And she just has a great personality. She has some interesting stories. And I found, a great interview of her on a YouTube show called Roommates. And if you don't know Roommates, you may want to go check them out. A young brother by the name of Hafiz. He hosts the show, and it's called Roommates. And he had her on his show, and he interviewed her about male-female relationships. Now, you have to understand, this young lady was divorced for 9 years. And while she was divorced, she decided to get into the matchmaker business. And she learned some things over those 9 years that may just blow your mind, especially when it comes to females. And, she has been talking about it, and now she does coaching, and she actually has a team of coaches who helps individuals in the relationship game. So she's really built a great business, and she found the man of her dreams. Got remarried, married an individual that she thought was not even for her. But it just goes to show you how sometimes we're looking for something in a particular place who acts a particular way, and sometimes the person for us is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. And that's what she said. She said she found and fell in love with a man who she never ever would have dated in the past, but she learned, and now she's so much in love. Great personality, great individual. So what is she talking about in this interview? Well, she talks about a lot of things, but she really gets into what females are looking for and what males are looking for, and some of the high expectations that females have, which can never ever be met. So we're going to look at a clip from this interview. Now, I believe in this clip, parental guidance is in order. I think she kind of says some words that's a little bit off the cuff, and she has a great personality, but she did say some explicit words. So if you have any children around, you may want to get them out the room or cover their ears. So let's take a look at this clip.
Pussy and money.
Okay.
This is the equalizer. Mm-hmm. This is what comes in. Women use pussy, vagina, to say, oh, I got him with this sex, right? Men use money.
Yeah.
So money is this equalizer. This men get access to women that they would never have access to because of money.
That's so true.
Women do it because men will sleep with just about anything.
That's true.
And especially if it's private or secret and no one has to know. Mm-hmm. So I've seen women who are 5s, but they're sleeping with a dude who's a 9. Yeah. She's got these ridiculous standards because she actually thinks this means that a man on that level would be with her. But he would never be with her. He's just using her for sex. But she thinks because her vagina has given her access to these men here, that this is the new standard. Men, money. They would never have access to these women, but the money gives them access to this. So for women who are very successful and you want to only date those men in that pool, that men with money have access to women that are not on their level. Do you think he wants you? unless you're a drop dead gorgeous successful woman who has the body and all this, the looks to go along with your money. And even then they hardly still want you because they feel like they're in competition with you. And there's all this underlying dynamic around. Men don't look at it like, let's be a power couple. That's a woman thing.
Man, that is real, Rebecca. I think a lot of women don't realize that.
Men don't think like that. That, you know, you're powerful, successful man making money. He wants a woman for peace and love and great sex and stroke his ego. And he's proud to have her on his arm when he goes out. It's kind of like that whole package, you know, for men thing. But that's about it. And as long as you're like a really great woman, you can be great friends and you know, the compatibility is there and everything, but he's not looking at another millionaire woman like, let me be with her because she's a millionaire.
Yeah.
That is not how men think. And so women, you know, if you're doing that, it's very lonely because first of all, there's not a lot of men in those categories. And then on top of that, like I say, you're going to be chasing men who don't want you.
Well, there you have it. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And, you know, she also goes into something that I didn't even think about, and it really, really hit me, you know, really strong. And it made me even understand the women that even I've known in the past. She kind of talks about the trauma that women have gone throughout their lives, and that many women, especially in the African American community, have gone through a lot of sexual trauma. Let's take a look.
Something that I've come to realize in the years of coaching and healing, like 95% of the women that I have worked with and encountered have been sexually molested, raped, abused in some way by a man. And that's my real statistic, okay? Like, to the point, Heffies, that I don't think that men quite understand what a lot of women and young women have experienced, that they are not admitting, or they're not even acknowledging, or they're not. I mean, Hafiz, I could pull 10 women off the street right now, and I would bet you 8 of them have been molested or abused in some way. Like you, okay, let me say this, though. It is every single woman's responsibility to heal herself after these things have happened. Because no one's coming to save you. Yeah. No one's coming to rescue you. No one's coming to make it all right. You're not going to meet a man. It's not his responsibility to heal you. It's not his responsibility. Carrie and I have a thing with each other. We say, it's not my responsibility to make you happy. Yeah. Which is why we both have therapists, right? It's my responsibility to be the best Rebecca that I can be and to deal with my own issues so I can be the best partner to Carrie. So one of the things that I think that men can do is, first of all, hold yourself accountable. Lead by example. You have a therapist. You have a counselor. You get the help you need to work through your own issues, because everyone has issues. Don't think you don't have issues and you're fine. You get the help. Then when you meet women, you've got to be able to hold them accountable too, because you could lead by example and say, I have a therapist. You have a therapist? Oh, you don't have a therapist? If someone doesn't have a counselor, you need to be raising your eyebrows like, to you, she's just not all that. Because one of the things I have found is that the more beautiful a woman is, the more abused she is.
Why?
2 things. She's more than likely been abused when she was a child because there was a male predator around who saw a beautiful child because she was been pretty her whole life, and she's been abused, typically physically, sexually. She's been abused. Then she grows up. She's now a beautiful young woman. She has all this attention from men. So there's more opportunity for abuse because she's more desired. So in other words, there's more options and there's more opportunity to be abused because you have all these men who want you. Younger men, older men, all different types of men. Young girls don't make good choices in men. You know, they go for the flashy guy, the gangster guy, the thug guy, the whatever it is, you know, that floats their boat, but there's rarely ever a good choice. And so here's more abuse. And then, you know, here comes in ego, and here comes in, you know, they date an athlete, or they date, you know, so there's just all these layers to beautiful women, but there's just so much abuse because you date these type of dudes and it's not the good guys.
Yeah.
You know, beautiful women attract all the men, but they choose the bad guys.
Why did they?
Well, you know what? Listening to her make that statement, it really, really brought home a lot of the relationships that I've had in the past. I know even myself, I've gone through trauma in the past. I have relatives who's gone through trauma. I've dated a lot of women and known a lot of women who've gone through sexual trauma. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. And it's no doubt about it that if we want to build families, we want to build camaraderie in our community, we need therapy. Therapy is big. Mental health is tremendous. I know I've gone through my own mental health treatment. I've had a therapist when I went through a divorce, and it has really, really helped me, helps me to understand. But I see that it's needed. I see it's needed in my family. I see it's needed in my friends. All of us can use some therapy, especially in the African American community, because we've been traumatized ever since we was brought to this land. We've been traumatized, and every day more and more trauma is heaped on us. So this was a really, really good segment. I hope that some stuff was learned, by you, and I hope that you seriously follow this young lady. She's doing some great work. Follow the young man, Hafiz. He's doing some great work out there, and definitely look into some therapy. Some of the issues that you may be going through can be solved if you just sit down and talk to someone, a professional who can really, really help you. Well, before we continue, we just like to say that this episode is brought to you by the like button and the subscribe button. So listen, go ahead. If you like the content, smash that like button. You really, really help us out. And listen, we're trying to get to 200 subscribers before the end of the month. So go ahead and subscribe. Tell your friends, share the video so they can come and subscribe. We really, really can use your help. So the next topic that we're going to talk about is for those out there who are sports fans, or those of you who believe in fairness. So there's a gentleman by the name of TimTebow. Some of you have heard that name before. Some of you know of this young man. TimTebow became famous in college. He went to Florida State University and was an outstanding quarterback for the Florida Gators. Led them, I believe, to 2 national championships. Was great. Not only was he an outstanding football player in college, he's an outstanding person. He was known as an individual who was motivational. He was known as an individual who was very spiritual and would do anything to help anybody. So he gets drafted into the NFL, and he didn't have a great NFL career. He played quarterback in college, but he really wasn't a good quarterback in the NFL. Only lasted in the NFL for a few short years, played with about 3 teams, didn't do well. Left the NFL and went on to try to make it in professional baseball. Like another person we know, a la Michael Jordan. And like Michael Jordan, who didn't make it in professional baseball, TimTebow didn't make it in professional baseball. He played for the New York Mets farm system for a number of years, and it didn't work out. But Tim was always a great guy, so he always had TV gigs. He always worked in television as he was attempting to make it in baseball. So, he comes from a well-to-do family. But guess what? His former college coach is now an NFL head coach. And he just signed TimTebow to a deal playing football, but not as a quarterback. He's going to be in another position called tight end. He's never played tight end. When they asked him to play tight end years ago, he refused to play tight end. But he's getting the opportunity, and let me stress that, an opportunity to play in the professional football league again after retiring and leaving football about 8 years ago, he's getting another opportunity at the age of 33 to play professional football in a position he's never played. And the question is it fair? Now, Tim Tebow made famous the knee, right? He is the guy who used to score a touchdown and then he would get down on one knee in the end zone and he would do his prayer, showing that he was spiritual. And another guy became famous because of a knee. And this guy can't get an opportunity like Tim Tebow. So is it fair? So, you know what? I went and I did some research and I looked up an individual by the name of Emmanuel Ocho. Now, y'all may know Emmanuel Ocho because he was the black man who took over for the show where the guy gives the rose to the girl. What's the name of that show? The Bachelor, right? So Emmanuel Ocho was the guy who stepped in at the last minute when the host decided to take some time off because of some stupidness that he said. And Emmanuel took over the show for the last episode or the last 2 episodes and did a great job. And Emmanuel also had a show on TV called Speak for Yourself. And let's look and listen to his opinion. Let's take a look at the video.
Tim Tebow's returning to the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we should all have a huge issue with it. Not with Tim Tebow, but with the fact that somebody who is not at all qualified got one of the most coveted positions. Let me put this in context. The last time Tim Tebow was on an NFL roster was with me, the Philadelphia Eagles, 2015. I've been in the media for 5 years. We've seen 3 presidents since Tim Tebow last played an NFL game. Now, why is this a huge issue? We've been arguing about qualifications dictating hiring in the NFL for a long time. So much so that we instilled a rule, the Rooney Rule, to make sure that head coaches, that assistant coaches get hired based upon qualifications, not who they know. So how dare we ignore it when it has to do with players? Let me give y'all a little bit of math. Roughly 130 college football programs, 2 graduating tight ends annually. That makes 260 tight ends entering the draft on an annual basis. Over the last 8 years, that's a little over 2,000 tight ends that are more qualified to get that Jacksonville Jaguar spot than Tim Tebow. Now, why do I care? Why am I so hostile? Because it personally affected me. Remember, when I was in the NFL, the majority of my career spent under Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly, college head coach, moved to the NFL. There was literally a point in time where on our 61-man roster, 53 active plus 8 practice squad, we had 9 Oregon Ducks. Remember, Chip Kelly's alma mater. 9 Oregon Ducks. That's roughly 15% of our roster was based upon familiarity to our head coach. If we're going to take a stand on hiring the most qualified person when it comes to coaching, when it comes to assistant coaching, then we have to take a similar stand on hiring the most qualified person when it comes to playing the position as well.
So there you go. That's his opinion. And of course, he had some special guests on the show who didn't feel the same way that he felt. Because they're saying, hey, it's just an opportunity. He hasn't made the team yet. He's not good enough to make the team. He'll probably get cut from the team. But the whole thing is that there are so many players that look like us who don't even get an opportunity to prove themselves. So what do you think? Let me know what you think out there. Write something in the comments. Should Tim Tebow have gotten this opportunity? Is it really true that it's not about what you know or what you can do, but who you know? Because his former college coach loves him and decided to give him another opportunity in the NFL. How many people need that type of opportunity who can really play the game, who can really play that position, are not getting the opportunity? And is it fair? Or is that just life? Life is what it is. People get opportunities because of who they know. People want to be around people that they like. Is that the way life is? And we just have to accept it. Let me hear your comments. Well, that's it for this week's show. And I will see you next time.